Welcome to Summerslam's edition of Plate Exchange. I'm Steve with On the Ring Apron. We've got Alyssa running the camera. Kia over here to my right. Say hi, ladies.
Hello.
Hey.
I'm going to need more enthusiasm for our show later tonight, I promise you. But welcome to Plate Exchange. This has been promised for 2 days. For those of you that, obviously follow us on a regular basis, we're doing home repairs, getting the last pieces done. It's supposed to be finished today, but we've also heard that for like a week. So, take it for what it's worth. But either way, so our workspace has still been kind of in play. But hey, we're finally back at home, Good Lord. I don't know about the two of y'all, but I have absolutely missed being at the house. Take it from a person who's having to live it. We are not built for the sweet life. I don't care what Zach and Cody say. Trademark pending. But anyway, welcome. Listen, this is Plate Exchange, our SummerSlam edition. We will be live in Nashville with ourselves, as well as one additional guest coming with us. You'll get a chance to meet her, hopefully live on one of our meet-her shows over there while we have an opportunity. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she's going to her first show, so this will be something special. And how about the second biggest event of the year? But we've got a lot of champions to go over here, so let's jump right to it. Of course, our big one, and Alyssa, we're going to let you get the zoom in here. But of course, it is the new Smackdown Women's Champion, Liv Morgan. Finally has been saying, "Watch me" for years, and finally gets the job done, cashing in Money in the Bank almost an hour and a half after she wins it, and cashing in on Rowdy Ronda Rousey to win the championship. She will have to defend in a rematch this upcoming Saturday at SummerSlam. I think it may be the first time in quite some time that the champion's going in such a heavy underdog against Ronda Rousey. But, a lot of people believe in Liv. We do. We'll find out on Top Rope Spoilers that's going to air tomorrow if we believe in Liv, or do we think the Rowdy one is too much. But we're getting to her. She's our main event. First, we cover, anybody who's taken the time to follow us for some time knows that we discuss the championships first that we either don't have or don't have plates for yet. The first one is one that actually we haven't gotten a chance to talk about on our show, and that is the NXT UK Tag Team titles. This one was quite a shocker, as the championships changed hands twice and ultimately was defended in the UK in a fatal four-way tag team match that ended up being won by NXT, America, Briggs and Jensen. And they have successfully defended the titles on two different occasions, including former UK champions Pretty Deadly in a recent episode of NXT. So they are currently holding the NXT UK tag titles. I've had a couple of people ask. Yes, we're getting it, but we don't have it yet. But we do have their plates, ironically enough. So both plates looking exactly the same, but Briggs and Jensen currently holding the UK tag titles. We do have them ready to go, just don't have the belt for them yet. So bear with us. Hey, we're spending a lot of money on getting house renovations, so, priorities. Another championship we talk about, and I don't have a blip for it here. We always talk, of course, about the 24/7 championship. I mean, honestly, I would argue that if our logo ever needs to change again, this is probably what it's going to change to, because this plate exchange is literally so many times. It has actually changed hands 17 times since our last plate exchange episode, and the recipients who have gone through it in no particular order: Doudrop, Akira Tozawa, R-Truth, Nikki A.S.H, current champion Dana Brooke has lost it and won it back. Carmella won it a few times. Alexa Bliss had a small run. Tamina, and now it's back to Dana Brooke again, with a couple of other minor, couple of seconds, couple of minute changes in between. So even though the title has changed hands 17 times since our last episode, the champion is still the same as it was in our last episode. It's still currently Dana Brooke. We'll see if the 24/7 title ends up playing any role in SummerSlam or this upcoming weekend. We'll also be at Smackdown in Atlanta tomorrow night, so keep your eyes peeled for us over at State Farm Arena, as well as we work our way towards Nashville. You'll also notice, and I don't know about either of y'all, but in the first Raw run by Triple H, now that he's in charge, and we haven't had a chance to have our formal sit-down and discuss that yet, notice the 24/7 title wasn't even mentioned.
It was not.
No, not even part of the storyline. I mean, and that's not necessarily out of the ordinary, but the fact that it wasn't even mentioned or even considered as part of the story, I'm curious to see if maybe this title might be on its way out.
So you think it's going to be done away with at some point?
Very well possible, or it might be changed in for something else, especially moving to TV 14, maybe get rid of the 24/7, maybe bring back the hardcore title.
Hey.
Have you ever seen one of those things? Each one custom built. It's literally the old WWE title belt that has literally been broken into pieces and then retaped back together.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, held together by duct tape and everything. It's an old belt, but we love it. I would love to add that to my collection. Other belts, other championships that have changed hands. This one was one that we had a plate exchange ready to go. It happened on NXT over the course of 2 weeks, but it's the Women's Tag Team Championships down on NXT, as Toxic Attraction was successfully beaten by the team of Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez. Perez would then end up getting in what is Cora's eyes, a little too big for her bridges. Excuse the southern metaphor there. And ultimately, Roxanne's title shot against Mandy Rose would end up resulting in Cora Jade turning heel and costing her that match. Cora would then the next week toss her women's tag team titles into the trash can. In this most recent episode of NXT, Roxanne choosing, rather than picking a new partner, choosing to give up the championships. So currently there is no NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, so we currently have them. We do still have the Toxic Attraction plates on there right now because they will be one of the 4 teams competing in a Fatal 4-Way elimination match next week for these vacant championships. We'll see if Toxic Attraction can win. If that's the case, then the plates are already there. Why go through extra work? Ultimately, if not, there are some other good teams in there. Diamond Mine, which is Ivy Nile and Tatum Paxley, are going to be one of the teams. Katana Chance and Kaden Carter are one of the teams. And then you have the Mexican Luchadora team also out there as well. I think it's Firaz, and I cannot for the life of me remember the other one. I'm sorry. So if you're watching, my apologies. Come, do a Hurricane Run on me or something. But before we actually had this happen, we were able to actually get our hands on the Roxanne and Cora Jade plates. Nothing out of the ordinary. It's kind of just their logos, turned sideways on the particular plates. Obviously, with neither of them holding a championship, these are just going to go into storage. But, we at least wanted to show off that we did have them, and there was a plan in place. But unfortunately, no official plates to exchange, so our Toxic Attraction ones will remain on there for at least until next Tuesday. And then depending upon the result, we'll see if there is a future episode for them. The last one to discuss that does not require any type of plate exchange is one that actually has not been officially announced in WWE programming yet, but it's coming up, and it is the United Kingdom Championship. This one has not been one that we've shown on our show in quite some time, as you've got to go all the way back to an NXT live event from last year, with Gunther, then known as Walter, losing to the current champion Ilja Dragunov in what was considered the match of the year. Dragunov has successfully defended his championship over in the UK 9 different times since he won that championship against all competitors, including a couple of folks that are sitting in NXT, including #1 contender JD McDonough. So he's taken on everyone, but unfortunately a foot injury is going to force him to relinquish the championship here. It has already been pre-recorded, but it has not aired yet, so it's coming up at some stage here in the next couple of weeks. So for those of you who do watch UK, sorry, this is coming up. But Dragunov is going to relinquish the championship without actually being beaten. We already know who the new champion is going to be, and we're not going to play any spoilers any further than this because I feel like we kind of already gave one. So we won't reveal who the new champion is. You want to go online, you want to look on Wikipedia or whatever, you can go look up who the champion is going to be. But it's going to be a few weeks before that new champion comes out. The only spoiler I will give on that particular front is this person has been champion before, but did not have plates at the time and we weren't doing our show yet. But either way, so officially, I guess if you look at programming, Dragunov is technically still the champion, but in 2 to 3 weeks he will be giving it up and it's going to be vacated for a couple of weeks. So be looking for that. Our UK plates go back to the standard generic ones, and we go from there. We need to dust this baby because this is one that, like I said, hadn't come out in a while, so I guess I need to go in here and do a little bit better about that. But in the meantime, let's move on to another belt that we thought we'd have plates for right now, so let me correct my previous statement. We do have one more to discuss, and that is the Intercontinental Championship. Speaking of Walter/Gunther, we do have a new Intercontinental Champion in the form of Gunther. He defeated Ricochet 5 weeks ago on Smackdown to win the Intercontinental Championship. And Lord knows we have waited super patiently, looking at him every single week, trying to get him to take off that red jacket that he wears so he would show off his plates. Well, he finally did on this last episode of Smackdown, only for us to find out he still doesn't have plates yet. So he still has the standard Intercontinental generics, does not have them yet, so this will be showing up in a future episode. But right now we do have the standard Intercontinental generics on our title, as we do have a new champion once Gunther gets his plates. I don't know if they'll say Ring General or Gunther or whatever. I don't know. And unfortunately we don't feel right taking our old Walter plates and putting them on there. I know that would be a facsimile for the time being, but it doesn't work for the time being. But let's move on to two plates that we actually can do something about. And that's kind of the point of all of this, is I like to physically exchange the plates. And the first one is the United States Championship. Both title changes we're talking about happened at Money in the Bank in Vegas a couple of weeks ago. Thank you, Alyssa, for traveling to that event. If you haven't watched our entrance videos for that, be sure to log on to YouTube, unless that's where you already are right now, and watch her wonderful entrance video. She did great, considering that the pyro scared the mess out of her a couple of times, but you never saw her shake.
Dear God.
Well, first was the United States Championship. I'm not really believing that a lot of people thought that this one was not going to change hands, as the current champion at the time was Theory, losing the championship back to the almighty Bobby Lashley. We would end up finding out later in the night, of course, why that happened, and that is because Theory was slated to win Money in the Bank. So, it takes a championship off of him and does put the Bobby Lashley plates back in play. We haven't seen these since he was WWE champion a couple of months ago, so it's been a little bit since we've seen the Lashley plates, but not as long as we've seen some others. I saw those John Cena plates when we were getting back into the house, and my goodness, I'm pretty sure there's dust older than one of our kids on those things. I mean, retrospect. Let me hit you with a reality here. We've got a child who just turned 4. The last time Cena held a championship that required a plate, he wasn't alive yet. Really let that sink in. But we actually can switch these out, so our ugliest sin Theory plates finally come off this thing. I don't even want to show those off. Those things were terrible. I'm usually pretty good about, being able to get good, good replicas of these and whatnot, but these were not good ones. But we move into getting the plates off here. So while we're taking care of this, Lashley and Theory will have a rematch at SummerSlam for the United States Championship. Of course, Theory firmly entrenched right now in a storyline that also believes that he will try to cash in his Money in the Bank on either Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar, the winner of the main event, to try to win the WWE Undisputed Championship. I'll ask the ladies, and if you're in the comments below, or in the live show, feel free to throw it in the comments as well. But ladies, what do you feel about Theory's run, considering he got the U.S. title, youngest one ever, youngest Money in the Bank, and now you're seeing the storyline run, but then you get Vince's kind of unexpected retirement, and it seems like the first thing you're seeing is Theory kind of getting thrown back to the mid-card very, very quickly. What do y'all think?
Roman said it best. Your daddy is gone.
Your daddy's gone.
Speaking my name, I will be your daddy.
You will be his daddy.
I'll stick to Poppy Rhea. Thank you very much. But either way, I think the idea that Theory has been pushed a little quicker than people like, I think might have been something that they're trying to push off now, because he hit like Jey Uso leaving the ring with the briefcase, and Jey just shrugged it off like it was nothing. And then you look at him getting thumped by, getting F5 multiple times by Brock Lesnar. He gets speared by Roman Reigns. Gets beat up by Drew McIntyre and by Sheamus, who both, one of the two, potentially both, are going to #1 contender at Clash at the Castle, the next event. So you look at that and you wonder, are they trying to maybe, instead of doing this heel quick run, are they maybe trying a slow burn with Theory instead, where he's going to have to come to the realization that he's not quite at that level yet and will have to work his way up and pick his moment maybe a little bit later? Alyssa, your thoughts?
I don't know. I think it's going to be I gotta go with Kia. I'm sorry, Roman said it best.
Your daddy ain't
Your
here.
daddy's gone.
Did y'all see the look on his face face.
The look.
The whole thing.
He was
He might be
destroyed.
trolling the Troy.
He was sad.
No, that wasn't sadness. That was, ooh, I think I got.
He did get got before he got.
Get him.
I would like to know for the record, the person that you got to go back and watch the replay on after that comment is said is go back and watch Paul Heyman.
I know.
In the background. Paul Heyman
perfect.
is having a blast back there the entire time. Like, he thoroughly enjoyed that entire segment.
Your daddy's
But with that, of course, that does mean he had to drop the U.S. to get the Money in the Bank. We'll see if it, literally pays off or not. But in the meantime, the almighty Bobby Lashley, who, give him his flowers, has done everything that WWE has asked him to do. He put Omos over several times during the previous months, and they reward him by giving him not only, a major win at a pay-per-view, but also a championship win heading into the second biggest event of the year. And likely, I think most people see him going over Theory. Hey, we got Top Rope Spoilers. We'll see if the OTRAs agree. If you haven't put in your vote, go to our YouTube community and make sure to take the time to cast your vote. There's still time to do it because the show hasn't, we haven't filmed it yet or haven't gone live with it yet, so you got time to still make your voice known if you want to pick on all of our choices. I think we've also potentially decided what the winner is going to get for whoever gets the highest score during the entire season, but we're going to maybe bring it up during our episode, but I guess we'll finalize it first. But with that, let's move to the main attraction of this episode, and you go back to the very beginning of the episode, and that is finally Miss Watch Me, and formerly, for about 2 hours, Miss Money in the Bank, Liv Morgan, ascending the ladder in what she considered to be the biggest win of her career. The biggest win of her career would last about an hour and a half before she would get an even bigger win, as she would successfully use Money in the Bank. Let me move Theory's plates here real quick. Would successfully cash in the Money in the Bank she had just won earlier that evening on an injured Ronda Rousey. She had injured her ankle in a match with Natalya, a match Ronda would successfully retain, but ultimately Liv Morgan would use that moment, would nearly get caught as she immediately got thrown into an ankle lock. And looked like, she might have to tap out her first attempt and might have, been a little bit overzealous, but was able to do what needed to be done to win the championship, her first major title. Who would have believed that when she was first coming up in NXT, that she'd, I think she always believed it, but I'm not 100% sure that everyone else did as well, but,
Haley did.
Haley did. Haley absolutely did. So, hey, if you're watching Haley, hey, your girl did it. And I know she'll be going nuts in Nashville here in a couple of days.
Yeah.
But Liv Morgan, our champion, she is going to defend, similar to Lashley against Theory. She will defend in a rematch at Summerslam against the former champion, Ronda Rousey. Her plates were previously on here, so we did a plate exchange on those. Feel free to go back and watch. But we will see if Liv's plates will get a chance to hang on there for a long period of time, or whether Rousey's plates will very quickly find their way back.
I hope for Liv that she's not just a placeholder, because honestly I feel like she is more than deserving. She's put in the time and the effort and the work, and I feel like if anybody is to hold it and to actually be, holding up Smackdown on their side, it should be her. Because she said for the longest time as a kid, this was the moment she had pictured in her head, and she finally was able to reach that goal despite what was being said and everything else.
Well, you have to also think she had to beat down every stereotype.
Exactly.
You're too small.
Exactly.
You're too small. You're not fast enough.
Exactly.
You're built to be a manager. You're not built to be a wrestler.
More like
you're gonna get hurt. And then when she gets to the main roster, oh well, you don't deserve it because you're blonde, or you're ditzy, whatever. And and when she was a member of the Riot Squad, you had two names that I would argue were probably ranked higher by most people in terms of Ruby Riott and Sarah Logan, that I would argue that Liv was, considered member number 3 of that group. At least that's my opinion. I'm sure there are lots of people who have their differing orders here.
But isn't it interesting how Liv, out of the 3, is the one that actually is holding the title right now?
Well, more power to her. And, this is another one of those, I would compare this, if you want to look at recent history, I would compare this to Kofi Kingston's win at Mania, a couple of years ago, where every person in the arena, it really didn't matter whether you were a humongous Liv Morgan fan or not. And it had nothing to do with the fact that she cashed in on Ronda Rousey. I think you could have argued that if Carmella had won the Raw Women's title that night and then she cashed in on Carmella, I think you would have gotten the same reaction. I think you would have gotten the same reaction had she cashed in on Bianca Belair. You know, I think the person doing it, because the fact is the WWE Universe, us especially, we respect hard work.
Mm-hmm.
We know the people that are the first ones in, last ones out,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in the gym, attends every event, goes to every, you never hear her getting in trouble, you never hear her doing anything that gets her on the wrong side of the media, you never see her, you know, skipping an event, you never see her missing anything. She's always punctual, she's always pleasant. I've never heard a person ever go meet Liv Morgan that has ever come back and said, my goodness, that was a waste of money, or my goodness, that was a waste of time, because she just simply doesn't give off that vibe. And there are certain people that it doesn't matter whether you're a heel or a face. John Cena made a 20-year career out of it. Rey Mysterio. The Miz, who's been a heel for probably 75% of his career.
Yeah.
But yet he is respected by every person in that locker room because he's done the work. And Liv Morgan getting that same push here. And, you know, and I'm thrilled for her, because this was something I wasn't sure was going to happen. She was one that, you know, I wasn't sure if she was going to continue to make it when they split the rosters again. You know, Liv was kind of the one that for a long time was kind of sitting in the back. And so I'm really happy with the fact that, you know, they gave Liv an opportunity to hold gold. And, you know, I'm kind of with Kia. You know, you'll find out my official pick, you know, as well as everyone else's on Top Rope Spoilers later this week. But, you know, I really don't want her title reign to be a short one. She's deserved a long run. Don't give her the Nikki A.S.H, you know, 3-week run and then bring back Charlotte, you know, where, you know, Charlotte, you know, with the shovel to come bury every other person on the roster. So you just feel like, you know, that's what's destined to happen here. The question is, will it be Ronda or Charlotte, or can Liv somehow get past them both?
I just honestly, I like the whole respect factor that Ronda gives to every champion that, like, literally beats her. You thought for a moment she would probably have done a heel turn, but no, she was still classy about it, shook her hand, I believe she gave her a hug, and said, you know, you're deserving of it. I mean, I know she was upset about the loss, but hey, what are you supposed to do with the cash in? You're supposed to wait till they're at their most vulnerable, and then you cash in on them.
Exactly. Well, she said it herself. She said if the roles were reversed, I'd have done the exact same thing. That's what you're supposed to do. You picked your moment. I hate that it was on me, but you know what? A fighting champion understands that that's sitting there impossible, and Liv picked her moment and successfully did it to keep the undefeated run of the women's Money in the Bank intact. Although there was about a 25-second period there where it was definitely in question. But congratulations, Liv. We look forward to seeing you in Nashville defending your Smackdown Women's Championship against Ronda Rousey, as well as everybody who's going to be both in Atlanta tomorrow night for Smackdown, as well as at SummerSlam for Nashville. You know, again, Top Rope Spoilers, you'll get a chance to see Kia and Alyssa back in our home element. And again, if you haven't put in your votes yet on our community page, be sure to do so. But this is Steve with On the Ring Apron. This has been Plate Exchange. Congratulations, Liv Morgan, Bobby Lashley, Briggs and Jensen, I guess for a little while, Cora and Roxanne, all the different 24/7 champions, Gunther, the future UK champion, no spoilers. You know, and we'll see, because I anticipate with Triple H running SummerSlam, I think some big stuff's coming this weekend.
I mean, he's done everything else, and he's run everything else like really well when he was in NXT, and then when he came to the main roster. So I feel like this is going to be no different. So
Completely
I
agree.
can't wait.
I'm looking forward to it. Alyssa, parting thoughts?
Bye.
Y'all have a good night. Keep an eye out for the times for Top Rope Spoilers. We'll see y'all soon.